It was probably about 2 months after my family had moved to a new house that it all started. During the nights, the power would sometimes just go off suddenly for about 2 hours. And while initially we caused the power companies and the government for it, we realized that in the entire colony, it was just our house that was experiencing these outages. After it happened 4 or 5 times, Dad called up some guys from the electricity board to have our house checked. But everything was fine, and they couldn't point out why the outages were happening. The owner of the house also confirmed that it was an unusual phenomenon. But given the fact that we were the first family who moved to the place after he had renovated the house, he couldn't understand it either. Soon, it became a ritual. Every 10-15 days, the power would go off automatically at nights. And the weird thing was, which my mom noticed, that it happened exactly at around 2 a.m. and the power would be out for about 2 hours. Um, Now, we were living in a small city in Rajasthan. So you can imagine what no electricity during the summers meant. I was probably 8 years old back then, and the inverters were far from the norm. One day, during the outage, the heat almost became unbearable. It was like someone had tossed me in the middle of an oven, and which was standing over raw fire, and the suffocation was just ghastly. So I got up, I called my little brother to ask him to get a water bottle from the fridge. But since that idiot would be comfortable sleeping in a quilt, even 45 degrees, without any fan, I knew that I would have to do the favor. So I waddled my way down the kitchen at 2:30 in the night, praying that the water in the fridge would still be cold, and I entered the place while rubbing my eyes. Now, due to the darkness, it was really hard to see things. I opened the fridge, grabbed a bottle which was still surprisingly cold, and breathed a sigh of relief. But as I started drinking the water, the shock of my life hit me. The water inside the bottle was boiling hot, even though the bottle it was inside was chilled from the surface. And just when I was confused, from the corner of my eyes, I saw a glowing pair of small triangular lights just above the fridge, like the eyes of an animal piercing the darkness, which enveloped all around me. I looked up, and it suddenly went dark again. And then a crouching shadow moved over the fridge. I wanted to yell for my parents and run away, but suddenly I found that my legs refused to move, and my throat felt extremely dry, unable to make even a sound. I was paralyzed for a few seconds, and all of it happened so fast that I don't have the words to explain it. Suddenly, I felt my insides burning, like someone had torched my guts and made me swallow acid. I was sweating profusely. I was losing whatever little water I had in my body. Everything was suddenly burning. And then it stopped. Suddenly the lights came on, and everything became normal. I dashed away, crying and shrieking at the top of my voice, and barged into my parents' room to tell them what had happened. They obviously said that I must be sleepwalking or dreaming, but then they saw a scar on my left wrist, a 3 centimeter wide, tear shaped burn mark, fresh, and a blot on the pale skin on my hands. Dad inquired from the people in the colony the next morning and found out the horrifying truth. About 5 years ago, a 30 something couple who lived in our house had burned to their death. It was never solved how it happened, but rumors were abound that the woman was cheating on her husband, and so he torched her in the kitchen before heading up to our room and torching himself. Local reports from the time indicated that the woman was burned sometime around 2 a.m. in the morning, and the husband watched her for about an hour. Then he headed up to our room and committed suicide. We rushed out of the place within a week. Now, 12 years later, I still carry that scar on my wrist. Hey guys, this is Divyansh, and I hope you liked that story. If you did, please share it in your stories on your profile, and yeah, let's see where it goes. So, I'm going to be posting a lot of my fiction in the video format now for those who find it an arduous task to read my fiction on Quora. Um, yeah,